Here we are in Auckland, New Zealand, on the Tubular 50th anniversary shows, and it looks rather delightful. Sadly, we're not playing in that arena. We're playing in a smaller arena somewhere in town. I've got to go and find a pharmacy. There's something weird. Every time I do this gig, I start the tour off with a cold, a streaming cold, and a dry cough. And I'm assuming that Oldfield put a curse on it. So anybody who played Tubular Bells will have respiratory problems to start with. So, we shall see. So we got in at 5 o'clock this morning after a brutal plane journey. London to Doha, that was 5.5 hours, and then Doha to Auckland was 16 hours. Oh my God. Could I get comfortable? No, I could not. Did I sleep? No, I did not. Anyway, got some sleep, had breakfast, find pharmacy, get drugs, walk. My life is simple. Keep saying I'm here. This is probably punishable by death. I suspect they're quite a law-abiding society here, but it is a jaywalking. So, pharmacy, there we go. Okay. Excellent. Mission accomplished. Vocal zone tablets, Lemsip powders, and a hairbrush. And the great thing about being a bloke, one of the many great things about being a man, is that buying hairbrushes is mind-bogglingly simple. You don't have to search through styling brushes and curling brushes. You just buy the simplest, smallest hairbrush you can get away with, and that's it. Job done. Easy. Have a look at this park over here. I suspect I'm going to find out the hard way what the New Zealand attitude to jaywalking is, but it's okay. You can usually talk your way out of stuff. Oh, this is a good start for the city. The the biosecurity at the airport is extremely stringent. They don't want you bringing in plants, food. They even ask if your shoes were used for any kind of gardening activity before you got on the plane. I think this is the New Zealish essence, water and rock. Shame we're not really going to have time to get out in the countryside. And we were dealt a slight blow yesterday morning by a message from our soprano to say that she'd been in hospital overnight with stomach cramps and was quite badly ill and been told by doctors that she can't travel for 2 months. And that's very, very sad because she brings an excellent energy to the show. And we wish her all the best. Okay, I'm going to go back to my room. I think I'll make myself a lem sit. And we'll be rocking, it says here. Apparently there's a good trip on a ferry over to the North Island. I'm not quite sure how much I'm going to walk today because that was a bruising journey yesterday. So I may not do a major yomp. I like it here already. In stark contrast to the manicured horror that was Dubai. Sadly I didn't film Dubai, but we're not missing much. It's a city with no soul. Anyway, I think I will have a little wander. I'm going to go and have a lem sit and then go for a wander. So, welcome back to the madness. We are in the Bruce Mason Centre.
Well, just checking everything is
What do those big red circles mean?
in
what
order.
The fuck is this supposed to be?
That means important. That means play that.
Or impossible?
Yeah. Depends how I'm feeling.
Right. Max has been whinging about his plastic mandolin. Oh, how the little people danced. So good. Good crew here at the theatre, nice people. Just generally nice vibe. Oh, that'll probably be Lisa arriving. But I will not be distracted. I am going for a walk. Because there's a beach down the road. Oh, he's probably going to pick her up. Okay, so look at this ahead of us. We could be in Sandbanks in Poole Harbour. I've got some vocal zone tablets for tonight. I should just about be able to stagger through the song. I've just had a lem sip. Look at this. It's Sandbanks. This is a bloody lovely place. It's just lovely here. And strangely, I don't feel that I'm away from home. I drive on the left. The people are relentlessly nice, even nicer than the Dutch, and that takes some doing. And although it's the depth of their winter, we're walking down to the beach. The only strange thing about it is the vegetation. All these palm tree things. Sort of like the mother of all monkey puzzle trees. Look at that. So the first impressive erection of this tour is actually going to be that tree. I don't think it's monkey puzzle. I think it's a different indigenous species. But I did manage to get hold of a piece of monkey puzzle from a tree that was cut down near us recently to try and turn a bowl out of, and I think it's dry enough to start. So when I get home I'll probably have a go at that. Lovely natural harbour here. And of course this was the jumping off point for all the Victorian explorers who were opening up both the Antarctic and the Arctic, and their story is one of high comedy. And there was a great deal of world exploration going on in the mid 1800s, largely financed and driven by the Admiralty. The Navy pretty much drove it all and financed it. But being Victorians, they firmly believed that their technology and their way of life was vastly superior to anybody else's, and there are some fabulous stories about Victorian army officers setting off to find the fabled city of Timbuktu and crossing the Sahara Desert, putting on full dress uniform every morning before walking across the burning sands. The search for the Northwest Passage was equally stupid. They thought their big Royal Navy warships, huge oak hulls, were the best thing to do it in. The Northwest Passage was eventually conquered by Roald Amundsen, the Norwegian who also beat Scott to the Antarctic, and he did it in a 32-foot fish cutter. But the Victorians used to go out there with fleets of 2 or 3 ships, knowing full well that they would spend 2 or 3 winters trapped in the ice, and they were prepared for it. In these big old sailing ships. The story of the loss of the Franklin expedition, which is relevant because John Franklin was the governor of New Zealand here for a while, and he set off from here to do some southern polar expedition and exploration, but he's best known for 2 expeditions. The first one was an expedition that he led on foot across northern Canada to see if he could find the route through the Northwest Passage on foot, and ran out of supplies and became desperate to the point where his men, what were left, were chewing their own shoe leather to get some kind of, not even nourishment, just some feeling that they had something in their stomachs. They would boil their own shoes, and he became known as the man who ate his own shoes. But then the Northwest Passage expedition that he led in the boats, the 2 ships, the Erebus and the Terror, and the story of it is tragi-comic, or comic tragic. The boats disappeared and nothing was heard of them. People were sent out to look for them, and started meeting Eskimos who told strange stories of white men marching south to try and get back to land, and they were pulling a ship's lifeboat in which, apart from the obvious things like food, water, tents, what have you, they also had full 36-piece Victorian bone china tea sets. And this didn't make a lot of sense, really. until it became clear that his expedition was also the first one to use the new technology of canning food. What they didn't know was that the solder that sealed the cans had a very high lead content, and one of the features of lead poisoning is that you become incapable of making rational decisions. So a group of men utterly desperate for survival wasted huge amounts of their strength because they felt it was proper to have a Victorian bone china tea set with them in the frozen wastes of the Arctic. Anyway, they all perished. Bits of stores were found. One of the boats was found. There's a cairn with a note in it and a tin saying all is well. And then a couple of years ago now, they found one of the other boats, I think, had washed up. One of the boats had washed up, and then they found the other one on the sea floor. A Canadian expedition went out looking for it, and they found it. But it still didn't really go any way to solving the mystery. It gave rise to another theory that they actually turned round when they were halfway to safety and went back to the boats, and nobody really knows why they did that. So in a way it raised more questions than it answered. It's a fascinating story. I commend it to you. There's a great book called Barrow's Boys. John Barrows was a guy that worked at the Admiralty who had a thing for exploration. However, look at what we're surrounded by. This is stunning. And this is the middle of winter. Look at it, it's lovely. This place is fab. This is a local variety of tree. What variety I don't know, but it has the most wonderful tangles of roots that just sit above the ground, and extremely gnarled trunks, gnarly bark. I wonder if that's where Niles Barkley got the name from. Look at this roots, wonderful. Fine mature trees in this park. Of course, New Zealand is set at one of the few pinch points in the Southern Ocean that girdles the entire globe, south of Cape Horn, Cape of Good Hope, and there's a kind of pinch point between Australia and New Zealand, and they get some extreme weather here. Anyway, back to the matter in hand. We're about to do the first show of this Australian and New Zealish leg of the tour, the ongoing, never-ending Tubular Bells 50th anniversary reimagined by Robin A. Smith tour. We have some challenges tonight, one of which is that sadly Daisy Bevan, the soprano singer, who as well as being a fabulous singer brings a glorious energy to the party, cannot be with us due to health reasons. And I've realised this is the first time in 50 years of touring when I've ever known somebody pull out of the tour on the day of departure for ill health, which is extraordinary really, which is very sadly missed. But we have a strategy to cope with it, Apparently sopranos are 2 a penny. They're crunching underfoot down here. You can pick them up on any street corner. Operatic soprano, yeah, there's a couple of dozen there. We also have a percussionist who has never played the show before, but he's had the recordings from the gigs to listen to, and he's an orchestral guy who can read, also does the Australian Pink Floyd shows, so I'm sure he'll be more than competent. Even so, it's slightly strange when you've got a unit that has played a piece of music 70, 80, 90 times now we've played it, to have a new musical personality enter the conversation, but I'm sure it will be okay. And I'm encouraged. I've managed to talk for so long without coughing and spluttering. It suggests that with the help of another Lemsip and a vocal zone tablet, I'll get through the gig. Look at these places lining this beach. This is so like sandbanks. I bet it's glorious in the summer. We're currently walking pretty much south. I may have to just do up my fleece jacket in a minute because there's a very thin drizzle falling. Look at the way these trees manage their relationship with the encroaching sea. Did I really just say manage their relationship with? That's the most appalling management bullshit speak. Anyway, I'm going to sit down here, turn this off for a second. Okay, it's 5 to 3. I've got an hour left before we make some noise. But the drizzle is getting quite thick now and cold, so I'm going to turn around. This is beautiful, I love it here. Whoops. I mustn't do that this evening. I'll trigger a coughing fit. I shall have to just put in an extra guitar solo. And I've pretty much run out of things to talk about, so I shall walk on in peace. Thank you for joining me again. I cannot help but observe how incredibly lucky I am that part of my working life is to be whisked away to the other side of the world, literally, that I could have done without the 16-hour plane journey, to places where I've never been before, and get paid for it. I don't get a lot of free time on these trips, but I do make a point of grabbing what I can and getting out for a walk whenever I can. Although I have got what is now the traditional start of a Mike Oldfield tour, start of a Tim and Coles tour, streaming cold. And my original intention was to slug out in bed in the hotel until 3:30 and come in on the bus, but I knew I'd have to update the Kemper and put all my sounds onto it, so in the end I came in the morning. Yeah, it's really bloody raining now. However, fortunately, I just so happen to have this rather cunning invention that is known as a hat. And it is most efficacious in the avoidance of getting a wet head. There's a nice venue up through the trees. These are magnificent trees. I shall accost this woman and ask her what these trees are. Accost is probably too strong a word. Excuse me. What is the name of these wonderful trees? This is particularly different. They look like it might be kind of open, but the leaves are not going to open fully.
You know what they are, it's going to take a long time, but I'm getting too old to remember things sometimes.
I'm probably too old to remember even if you tell me. Oh well.
Yes, yes, and their leaves don't break down.
Oh really?
Yes, so that they like put the harbour's level.
Right?
Yeah, and they cause quite a problem when they're planted in the streets
Right.
because they fill the gutters with leaves.
Okay, well thank you. Look at the beautiful
Pahutakala.
What?
Pahutakala. And they have red flowers.
Pahutakala.
Pahutakala. You're very well known.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Have a good day. There you go, then, if you got that Pahutakala. So this tree is going to be my second impressive erection of the day. And it's the sheer tenacity of the bastards. Look, its roots doesn't really have any soil to work with, does it? I don't know where it draws nourishment from, but it certainly seems to draw enough to be a massive, impressive beast of a tree. What a fine thing. Pahutakala. And beneath its boughs grow, I think they're gunnera. But were they a gunnera? Oh, I forgot. There. A most pleasant interlude. Let's go back and return to, I don't know what I've got to do. I haven't got anything to do until we start sound checking. I might go and spend 5 minutes playing the PRS guitar that they've hired for me, although it's got a neck like a baseball bat, but I suppose I'd better just check it over. God, I love it here, it's brilliant. The architecture's fab as well. Look at that. And those flowers that you often see at the seaside, I don't know what they're called, they're sort of snapdragon things. I'll probably get set upon by security guards and rabid dogs for approaching a house and filming it. But look at that, that's a fine, fine specimen of whatever it is. Marvellous. Immaculately manicured lawns. What's that? I wonder if that's aloe vera. Looks very much like it. Oh no, no, no. The leaves are not thick enough. It's far too neat and tidy, that is. Need some wildness. So as ever by the sea, and if you're near a nice beach, there are gated enclaves where the stupidly rich do the things that the stupidly rich do. Old motorhome coming down to the beach. I'm really sorry that we've not had time to get out of the city and look around. We did think about both coming out a week early and then Finn staying on for a week or so, but decided being on the road with the band is not a holiday in any way, shape or form. But I would really like to come back here on a proper holiday. And at the moment, and we shall see whether this holds till the end of the tour when we've done Australia, at the moment I would probably come here rather than Australia, he said, on the basis of no evidence whatsoever. But I'll revisit that that opinion later on in the tour when we've done a few Australian things. Now I think I can get into the theatre by going up this side of the building. I think. I hope. But that was a most pleasant little job. And just about right for me in my cold-ridden state. I wouldn't have wanted to done any more. Deco Deity by Melinda Butt. Titter ye not. Yes, usual comments about public art. Thank God somebody does it. Beautiful. So, how do I get in? Probably not there. Let's keep going up. Last resort, I just go back and hammer on the door. Tee-hee. Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells, live in concert, gold anniversary, and in very small print at the bottom, Mike Oldfield will not be personally appearing as part of these concerts, but at least they have actually put it on. That is good news. And Bruce Mason Centre. Dancing penguins, or some kind of sea deity. So, the tour manager told me that there is a manned or personed entrance door here, stage door, there we are. And of course this is one of those countries where everything's in two languages, because they somewhat belatedly started to acknowledge the legitimacy, shall we say, of the population that they murdered, pillaged and ghettoized when first arriving here. A little bit of politics there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ben Elton. Right, I'll turn this off and we'll see if I can make our way in.